Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is, well, a compilation of a lot of my more recent pickups. I've been picking up a lot of CSAs, a lot of uh, Confederate States of America notes. So I figured it was about time I started to put these in order and show you what I've got. Way back in the day, I did a top 10 list on CSAs, but I've gotten quite a few more since then. So we're going to do a quick rundown of what I'd consider my current top 10 CSAs that I own. One of the things you're going to notice is condition. Some of the notes are in decent shape, some of the notes are really rough. And the thing is, with a lot of the CSAs, rough condition is about the only way you're going to find them because they were so heavily circulated. Um, it's kind of the same with our current currency. If you ever get $100 bill from a bank, it's generally in good shape. Whereas you would never take 5 or 10 $100 bills, ball them up, and put them in your pocket. You would always fold them and put them neatly into a wallet or a purse. Singles, for some reason, they get balled up and ratted up all the time. It's like people don't care because it's only $1. Well, the same thing happens with the CSAs. The smaller denominations were always used heavily, and the larger denominations seem to have been cherished and are always in much better shape. Anyway, let's take a peek at what we got. Number 10 on the list. Number 10, like I said, this one is very, very ratty. This one is number T62 on the list, type 62. It is a $1 note, and obviously this has been heavily circulated. When I see a note like this, I imagine this being rolled up in one of the soldiers' bootstraps as they were fighting. That's just the way that I always picture it. This particular one, let's see if we can even make out the date here. It looks like April 6th, 1863, if I recall. I did look it up in the book, though. This one is the type 62 that features Clement Clay. He was the senator of Alabama, if I recall correctly. He was also on the, which one was it? T72, the very last note, which was also a $1 bill as well. So this is the second to the last series of $1 bills. And yeah, pretty rough shape. You can see on the back, not a whole lot of it left. But to have one, that is the thing for me. I'm just proud to have one of these because, like I said, the smaller denominations are very hard to come by. So yeah, you can end up paying a lot for a $1 bill in good condition. I don't need a $1 bill in good condition. I just needed a $1 bill. So that's number 10 on the list. Number 9, this one is the last series $2 bill. This is a T70, type 70. And this $2 bill, you can see, is in much better shape than the one, but still, as you can see, does have its issues along the side here. A little bit of a fold here. It's got a tear through the picture. It's got a tear through here. Another thing with the quality of these bills is they were printed on rice paper, so they're extremely thin. They weren't designed to hold up very well at all. You can see this one is February 17th, 1864, if you look on the top. Another characteristic of all of these notes that you're going to see is the serial numbers are handwritten and the notes are hand-signed. On notes that are slightly better condition, well, even in some of the worser condition notes, that ink will penetrate through the paper. On the back of this, these weren't written with a very heavy hand, so they didn't come through. But that is something that you can see on some of the notes. When you do look at those signatures, you want to make sure that the ink used for the signature is different than the ink used on the note. That's how you can tell whether it's a real signature or not. You can see here both of these signatures are definitely using a different ink than the ink that was used to print the note. So that is one way to tell that it's a legitimate note. Anyway, that's number 9, the T70 $2 bill from 1864. Number 8 on the list. This is one of my favorite notes. I should have probably put this up a little bit higher. This one is a $10 note. This is the type 68. Normally, when you see Confederate notes, this is the one that you're going to see because of the amount of these that were printed. This particular one is actually in pretty nice shape, and it has very bright color. The color on this one and the color on this one are actually the same, and it's coming through pretty well on the camera here. Generally speaking, this note tends to look a lot like this when it starts to get in rougher condition, but this one you can definitely see has the red color to it. This one is the horses carrying the cannon. You can see that right there. And of course, all of these notes say 2 years after, I'll put it right here, 2 years after the ratification of a treaty of peace between the Confederate States and the United States of America, the Confederate States of America will pay $10 to the bearer. And that's where the obligation is on these notes. Now, like I said, this is one of the more common notes that you're going to find. This has RMT Hunter, Secretary of State, pictured on it. And looking at the back, it does have the blue $10, almost funny money quality to it. Like I said, one of the more common notes that you're going to find, these are barely face value, $10, $20, $30 or so is what you're going to end up seeing these for if they're in, okay condition. If they're nicer, they could be 50 or so. But yeah, these are easy to get a hold of, and to me, these are... This is a pretty solid piece of history, this particular note. They were hand cut, so even though this one is off cut like that, that is not an error. They were all hand cut, so they were all pretty well butchered. Anyway, that's number 8 on the list. Number 7. Number 7 is a $50 note. This one is type 66. This one features Jefferson Davis front and center on there. You can see him right there. And this one was always interesting to me because it's one of the few that aren't hand numbered, but they are stamped. If you look real close, that's a stamp. And you can see here how the 0 is not complete, whereas the 8 is very dark. You can see how this is transparent. That lets you know that that was a stamp as far as putting the note on there itself. Once again, these are hand signed, so you can see the inking on the signatures is different from the inking on the note itself. And if you look on the back, you get that bright blue from this particular series. 1864, if I remember, February 17th is going to be the series on this one. Where's the date and stuff on here? Right there. Yep, February 17th, 1864. So this one, like I said, is the type 66 featuring Jefferson Davis, the $50 note. That is number 7. Number 6, I have a pair of notes. And the pair of notes, the reason why I paired these up is because essentially they are the same note. Essentially. There's a couple subtle differences. They're both $20 notes. They both have the 3-masted ship there. There are subtle differences. This side here has the man on the ship by the capstan, I believe. And this one just has 20 on it. This is the older version of the note. This is the newer version of the note. These are, where is it? This one is the type 9, T9, and this one is the type 18. And this is certainly the more common of the two that you're going to find. This can run upwards of $175 in really nice shape. And this one can go for 10 times that. So, yeah, having basically the original and then the upgraded version of the note is how I look at it there. I was able to score these at a really good price. And once again, you have almost a comic book font, the way that it's written. It's just the impression that I get. I know it isn't really a comic book like font, but that's always the impression I get from a lot of these notes. I don't know if it's the images or the way the lettering goes, but that's just the feel that I always get. So this one, like I said, is the 1861 type 18, the replacement for the 1861 type 9. And you can see the dates are fairly close. I mean, this one is July 1861, and then by the time you get to September 1861, that's when they changed over. So there's not a lot of these around. If you can get one, go ahead and pick one up. I like that they're hand numbered and they went with different colored inks compared to the signatures. And this one here, you can see they also use the red ink as well. They only put it on one side of this particular note where it's on both places on this particular note. Anyway, that is number 6 on the list, the pair of 20s from 1861. Number 5 on the list, this is type 41. This is a $100 note, and this one you can see here, the date on it is October 1862. Once again, also, well, hand dated, hand numbered, and hand signed on this particular one. This was the slaves' note, slaves working in the field. And of course, this is John C. Calhoun, Mr. Indigestion. Yes, you'd think you could get him to smile for a picture, but yeah, maybe not. Anyway, these were cool because these were interest-bearing notes as well. Confederate States of America will pay to the bearer on demand $100, and then in the fine print, with interest at 2 cents per day. And the way that that would have been calculated is, well, they know the date the note was issued. So when you wanted to redeem it for the interest, you would take this to the bank, and there it is. Interest paid to, let's see, the 1st of January, 1864? Is that what that says? At Jackson. So this particular note was redeemed for all the interest between October 2nd, 1862 and January 1864. That's how they knew how much interest to pay. So these are always neat. Sometimes you can find these notes with multiple stamps on there. The different banks, some people are always looking for different banks that are stamped on the back. So that's always a very interesting note. That one is number 5 on my list. Number 4. Number 4 is another pair of notes, and these are $1 notes. And I've always had these backwards in my mind. This is the T44 and the T45 $1 notes. Now, these notes are virtually identical. The way you can tell them apart, though, is the T44 was just the original note, and you can see it's dated June 2nd, 1862. And the T45, also dated June 2nd, 1862. The difference is this has the green overprint. Now, only the last few notes of the series had the green overprint. There's a much deeper story into the green overprint as I'm finding out reading some of the new books that I got. But yeah, they initially made these, and these would go for, well, these sell for anywhere from like 45 to 200 or so, and this can be worth 4 digits if it's in really good shape. So once again, finding one in good condition is the hard part. Either one of these in good condition, but even so, this one would be in the $175 range or so, and this one could easily be well over $1,000 if it was in perfect condition. Features Lucy Pickens there on the side, and yeah, very cool notes indeed. Looks like a steamship that's on there. You got another ship in the background, and of course it's the same ship here. But yeah, the green overprint, that's the one you're looking for. That's the one that's worth a lot more. Now, in lesser condition, this is like 70 and this is like 40, so the price difference isn't as big. But in good condition, you're talking 170 or so versus $1,200. So that is number 4 on the list. Number 3, from the same series, this is number T42 and T43, the $2 versions of the same note. This is known as the Slayer note. The $2 Slayer note, you can see the image of the South slaying the Union is what that is known as. And then, of course, here is the overprint version. Has the green overprint. Now, this is the part that confused me all the time. Generally, when you talk about a note that is worth more, when you've got 2 notes like this, you would think that this green overprint would be the one that would be worth more. Because if you had a note like this, it would be easy enough to add that overprint to it. Okay? You can't remove the overprint without damaging the note. You can always add something to a note. So generally speaking, you would think this would have been the original, and this would have been the next one to come along. And the other thing that would make you think that is right here. It says second series right here. But if you look here, this one says 3rd series. So based on that, you'd think this one would have come first, but it didn't. Now, once again, I have no idea how that happened, why that happened. That's just a total head scratcher to me. But once again, you're talking the same condition here, whereas this is the common note, and this one with the green overprint is the rare note. That's all I got on that. I just, like I said, this one came first. This is T42, and this is T43 for the Slayer notes. And like I said, these were printed last, but for some reason, these are considered 2nd series. These are considered 3rd series. To me, it's a head scratcher. So I will double and triple check my books, but yeah, that's the order that they've got them listed. So that's the order that I have to take it as, regardless of it saying 3rd series and 2nd series. Anyway, that's number 3 on the list. Number 2, another pair of notes. Number 2, I've got a pair of $100 notes. Now, these are known as the locomotive notes or the milkmaid notes. Either way, you can see the locomotive, the train, up on the top. You can see the milkmaid on the side. And you can see that this is a much darker print, a much blurrier print, where here you've got a much clearer print. That is the way the notes are done. This one is always pictured extremely clear. This one is always pictured blurry. What is the actual difference in these notes, though? Well, the actual difference has to do with the train itself. There is the T39 and T40 are the numbers on this one. And what you're looking at is the steam. This is called diffused steam, where there's just this little white cloud that goes around here, versus this one that has a very clear nozzle of steam going straight up. Now, there was about 412,000 of these notes printed, and they're about equal as far as the number printed each way like this. I prefer this one because you can clearly see all the depictions here in the lithograph or in the vignette. This one just comes across dark, but like I said, that's the way the notes are printed. They're all like that. This isn't a forgery or anything, or a badly copied note. That's just how they were. So we've got, let's see, one's dated August 13th, 1862, and this one's dated August 19th, 1862. So yeah, you can't even really go by the dates for those. And once again, looking at the signatures, you can tell that the signatures themselves are handwritten, and so are the serial numbers. That's number 2 on the list. Well, one other thing with this is, out of the top 100 notes of all time, this one is number 27, and it's very affordable. All right, number 1 on the list, a note that didn't make the top 100, but is still my favorite Confederate note. It's my $500 Confederate States of America note, 1864 Confederate note. You can see it's from February 17th, 1864 right there. Of course, once again, it is hand-signed. A lot of people go, oh yeah, it's Confederate flag. Well, take a real close look at that, because everybody thinks this little square is the Confederate flag. You can actually see the red and white stripes on the side here, showing what the actual Confederate flag looked like at one part. If you think it's just this little square that's the Confederate flag, no, that is not the Confederate flag. So all of you people hanging that flag, boy, were you misinformed. Anyway, Confederate States of America, you can see this one has the stamped serial numbers, but it is hand-signed. Take a look at the back. There's nothing much on the back there. It does have a stain. I don't want to think about what that stain might be, but for a $500 note that's graded type 64, this one is a very cool one and one of my favorites. So that's what I've got for you guys this week, my top 10 list of CSAs. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.